It's more shocking that somebody would decide to stay natural when they look amazing than if they were to take something when they look amazing. You're thinking, but if I look like that, I'd take anything. That's my dream physique. I wouldn't want to do anything. What happens is the exact opposite. The better you get, the more you want to improve. Performance dysmorphia. Coach Greg, in today's video, he's got 5 months of natty training under his belt and asked the question, is it too soon, too early for me to consider using performance-enhancing drugs? And so why would he be thinking already that he needs to use performance-enhancing drugs? If you're already making significant progress, then why would you take anything more? My rule of thumb is the lowest dose that makes you happy. When it comes to taking performance-enhancing drugs, the lowest dose that makes you happy. If you're seeing progress, then you don't need to take more. And so why would he at this stage want to take something when he's already making amazing improvement without anything added whatsoever? Well, I'll tell you why. Because once you see the gains start coming, you start thinking, I want even greater gains. The more gains you make, the more gains you want to make. I like to call this performance dysmorphia. The better you perform, the better you're doing, the even better you want to do. Case in point, none other than 4-time Mr. Olympia champion, Chris Bumstead. Did you not see the guy's physique at only 18 years of age? At 18 years of age, Chris had a much better physique than this guy does, and this guy is 21. But did that stop Chris from taking performance-enhancing drugs? Of course not. We all know Chris, he admits to this, he took performance-enhancing drugs at only 18 years of age. And what happened? Well, he blew up. Not only in his physique, but in his social media presence. And since that time, he's approaching 20 million followers on Instagram. The only guy I can think of as popular as Chris Bumstead in the history of the world, none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. And so when you're a 21-year-old who probably looks up to Chris Bumstead, you're thinking, well, that guy has an amazing physique. I've gone to the gym for 5 months and look at the changes. If I take what Chris took, perhaps I could now compete and I could become a pro. And so the better the results that you get, the more likely you are to in fact want to take performance-enhancing drugs. You might have thought it was the opposite. Why would you take drugs when you already look amazing? People said that about my physique all the time. Coach Greg, we're seeing your physique in your 20s. Why would you ever take drugs if you look that good? Well, why would you not? How could you stop yourself? It's more shocking that somebody would decide to stay natural when they look amazing than if they were to take something when they look amazing. You're thinking, but if I look like that, I'd take anything. That's my dream physique. I wouldn't want to do anything. What happens is the exact opposite. The better you get, the more you want to improve. Performance dysmorphia. We see it in every sport. We see it in every category. Case in point, Derek Lunsford. Derek Lunsford was the Mr. Olympia champion in the 212 division. He could have kept that title year after year. Probably just show up to the gym, work out half-ass, hardly take anything, maybe even go half natty. And a guy could have won the Mr. Olympia title year after year. But instead of that, he wanted more. More size, more muscle, more definition. And what did he do? He moved up to the open class last year, gaining over 20 pounds of muscle. And what does he want this year? He wants to be the best. He wants to be the open class Mr. Olympia champion. He wants to have gone from winning the 212 task to the open class, of which I 100% think he's going to do this. And so why would somebody want to take performance-enhancing drugs? Well, because they want to see their ultimate true potential. And the better you are, the more likely you're going to want to take it to the furthest extremes possible. If Derek competes this year at 240 pounds shredded, next year, he's going to want to be 245. Year after, 250. There is no end in sight. You will never be happy. And so the greater the gains, the greater likelihood you are eventually going to take performance-enhancing drugs. And I'm sure you probably thought it was the opposite. The people that take in steroids are the ones that they can't make progress. If you could make progress like this guy, if you put 20 pounds in a year natural, why would you ever take steroids? You clearly would wait, right? Wrong. You want to be the champion. You want to be even better. And so if you enter your first bodybuilding competition as a natural and you win the overall, you really think you're just going to keep training natural and continue to win overalls? Or are you most likely to think, there's a guy by the name of Chris Bumstead, and I like that guy. He used performance-enhancing drugs at 18, and so I also am going to take them, and I'm going to come for his title. That is more often the case than is not. Of course, there are exceptions. There are people who have won natural titles and never took steroids. I'm not one of them. I was a natural, provincial, national, and world champion bodybuilder. But yet I eventually took performance-enhancing drugs. Why? Because I wanted to be the best. This is long before Chris Bumstead. Chris Bumstead perhaps was not even born. I'm so freaking old. About 10 years too early, bud. See what your body achieved naturally before you hop on cycle. And so let's rewind the clock and let's pretend that this is Chris Bumstead. This is Chris Bumstead at 18 years of age, posting his photo before he ever took performance-enhancing drugs and said, "Hey guys, I've been training for a little while and I want to take performance-enhancing drugs. What do y'all think?" Every single person I would hope would say, "You're 18 years old. Of course you're too young." But did that stop Chris? And so do you really think that saying that is going to stop guys like this? He's 3 years older than when Chris started, and perhaps he wants to be a bodybuilder. Perhaps he wants to compete in the Olympia. And so people with the comments of, "Right now, your T levels will be through the roof anyway. And so why would you take anabolic steroids if you're 21? You're already going to have amazing testosterone levels. And so why would you need to take anything?" Well, he responds, "Hell no, I'm 21 and I had 420 total test and 450 at 19, LOL. I've been working out my whole life." And so we get a guy saying, "Hey, I only have 420 to 450 nanograms per deciliter, and so perhaps I need to take steroids." This is testosterone dysmorphia at its finest. People think if your testosterone levels are not at least 800, perhaps 900, even 1,000, that you're going to have a hard time putting on muscle. Nothing could be further from the truth. Just because you're at 400, 500, 600 doesn't mean that your testosterone is low, doesn't mean you're going to have a hard time putting on muscle. His test is obviously fine. He packed on a significant lean muscle in 5 months natty. You don't do that with shitty aforementioned genes. Highest they'll ever be, yes, because it declines with age, but being 18 to 20 doesn't mean you have high test. Nowadays, most 20-year-olds barely have 600, which is average. 600 being low, average, or high, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter!
All you need to do is have a healthy diet, progressive overload, sleep well, and you're going to make some gains. You don't need to take testosterone, you don't need to take enclomiphene, HCG, and you don't even need to take G-test, which I actually sell. You don't even need to take it. And yeah, I make money if I sell this to you, but you don't need it. If you want to take it, of course you can. At least this is natural. But do you really think it's good advice to tell somebody who's 18, 19, 20, 21 years of age to take performance-enhancing drugs for any reason? Unless, of course, they go to a doctor and their test levels are so low that it's a problem. You should not be hopping on testosterone or SARMs or anything. 7 to 8 years before hopping on juice. The kid is young and barely worked out prior. And so let's imagine Chris Bumstead has not taken steroids for the first 7 or 8 years of his training. He would have been well into his 20s and he was quite literally already a Mr. Olympia champion, not natural, before he trained for 7 or 8 years. And so yeah, it's all great to say, don't take this, don't do that, wait this, wait that. Of course, that's the best advice. But I know people, and I know they can't wait. But listen, you've only been training 5 months. But what you need to know is if you take steroids now, you're going to hit your peak, your maximum muscle way too early. Perhaps by the age of 25, 26, you will find it extremely difficult to put on any muscle whatsoever. Steroids, they don't work forever. The first 3, maybe up to 5 years, you can put on a significant amount of muscle, but after that, you will likely hardly put on a single pound of muscle. And so remember, you're 21. If you start taking steroids, by the time you're 25, you're probably going to be nearly maxed out. By the time you're 30 or 35, you might already want to quit the gym. If you wait, for example, wait till you're in your 30s, like Coach Greg, you can continue to slowly put on muscle over time. You will continue to enjoy the process, and you're going to be significantly healthier. And after you've hit your natural genetic limit, which is what most people do, you can then decide for yourself, is it worth it? Perhaps it's worth it, perhaps it's not. That's not for me to decide. That's for you and your doctor. And of course, never break the law. And so I know the temptation is strong, but please do your best to not take performance-enhancing drugs at this age, especially if you've only been training for 5 months. You take the drugs, you're going to have no clue if it's your training, your diet that's working. And the longer you wait, the more you learn about your body, whether it's diet, training, rest, recovery, everything, the better the results are going to be once you actually do decide to take steroids. And so my main advice, don't take steroids, stay natural. And if you're not sure if you should or not, the answer is 100% unequivocally, you should not. No one should be taking performance-enhancing drugs unless they become an expert on it themselves. You should know more about it than the vast majority of people. If you don't and you're not sure about it, you need to read more, you need to do more studying. And of course, if you're now 21 years of age, if you do decide to stay natural, consider taking natural supplements that can make a difference. Things like Ecti Builder with various Ecti steroids, also GO2 Max, G-Test, pre-workout protein powders, creatine, beta-alanine, the list goes on and on. And so if you're interested in any of these things, don't forget to head over to my website, and the code is code Greg, 10% off. And of course, I have my cookbooks, the Circle Diet Book, Life Story, How Do You Lose Weight and Keep It Off for the Rest of Your Life, and 3 different training books, all for the beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Take your pick. And of course, the Harder Than Last Time clothing line, tank tops, hoodies, jogging pants, all that stuff. Head over to my website, subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm, like the video if you in fact liked it, watch one of the bloops, and of course the free diet and training program, close to 50 pages, first, last name, email address, it's coming straight to you. And until next time, I am out.